Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and I want to do something a little bit different today. What I want to do today is actually give you guys the 10 questions that I would like to see answered by Call of Duty developers and or Activision. The games industry is not known for being a super transparent industry. There's a lot of things up in the air and a lot of things that are just really left to speculation. So imagine a scenario where we had people from Treyarch, people from Sledgehammer, people from Activision, as well as people from Infinity Ward all sitting down to answer our questions. What questions would you ask them? Keep in mind they have to answer truthfully and give their honest opinions and their honest feedback as to the questions we're giving them. What questions would you ask them? Well, I've given you guys today are going to be 10 questions I personally would ask, and of course I would love to hear what you guys would ask down there in the comment section below. Now before we get started, I would like to say that these are not going to be in any particular order. It's not the top 10 where one's more important than the other. I just have these listed here that I want to go through them for you guys here in this video. The first question, what is the weapon balancing process like? How exactly do the developers determine which weapons need to be buffed and or nerfed in their games? Sometimes it's really odd. Sometimes you have these buffs and nerfs that happen to weapons that just don't seem to make a lot of sense, and there's other times where the community is crying out for them to nerf a weapon like the World at War MP40 or the Advanced Warfare ASM1, and then they just never get touched. Now I realize the ASM1 was nerfed relatively recently, but that was already 6 months after the ending of the Advanced Warfare lifecycle, so it doesn't really count. They left it basically unchecked throughout the entirety of the Advanced Warfare lifecycle, and I have to wonder, why is that? What exactly goes into the weapon balance process? I would love it if they were more transparent with that. Question number 2, what are the chances of Call of Duty ever returning to Vietnam or an earlier time period? Just anything pre-modern, really. I would love to hear what Treyarch, Activision, Sledgehammer, as well as Infinity Ward have to say about this. Will we ever return to an earlier date for Call of Duty? Now, if you actually look at this thing I put together for you guys here, Call of Duty itself has really been spreading out the time periods of their games. There's a lot of modern games, there's a lot of futuristic games, and there is 4 World War II games, to be fair, but 3 of those World War II games were games that came out on the original Xbox, and they were made before the entire implementation of perks, the prestige system, credit class, kill streaks, and stuff like that that we saw in Call of Duty 4. So technically, we've only had 1 proper World War II Call of Duty game, and we've had 1 Vietnam/Cold War era Call of Duty game. The rest of them have been modern or futuristic. Is there any talks whatsoever at any of the development studios or at Activision to possibly return to an earlier time period? I would love to know about that. Speaking of going back in time, in a sense, question number 3, are there any plans to return to a traditional movement system in future Call of Duty games? Even if games going forward are still set in the future, could they potentially have traditional movement? Is that something that they're talking about in any of these studios, or is that something they're talking about at Activision? I would love to know about that. I think a lot of people would love to know if we're ever going to see pure traditional movement in Call of Duty ever again. Question number 4, do you feel, and I'm asking this to Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, as well as Activision, do you feel honestly that it's fair to fans that weapons are locked in supply drops? I would love to hear what developers honestly think about this as compared to what Activision thinks about this. I would love that entire thing to be transparent. There's a lot of things going around saying that, oh, Treyarch doesn't want to do this, they're being forced to by Activision, but is that really true? Like, I would love to know the ins and outs of that. That's something I think a lot of people would want to know about. Question number 5, has dynamic weather and or day-night cycles ever been seriously considered for the franchise? I've been talking about this for ages. I think it would really help out the Call of Duty scene if they were to have day-night cycles at least in their games. I think it'd be fantastic. I would love to know if they've ever seriously considered it, or if it's a potential thing that we may be seeing in the future with Call of Duty now that Battlefield is starting to implement it. I would love to know about that. Question number 6, are there any game mechanics that the Call of Duty developers would like to add to Call of Duty but can't because it would fundamentally change how Call of Duty is played? This would be very interesting to see what the people over at Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch would say. Would they ever want to implement something along the idea of class rules, for example? There's a lot of class-based shooters coming out these days, and of course Battlefield is traditionally known as a class-based shooter game where you have things like healing and stuff like that that the medics can do and being able to revive your teammates and so on. Would they ever consider something along those lines for Call of Duty? I know they've implemented some Battlefield style things in the past, like ballistic vests or being able to throw down ammo packs and things along those lines. So would they ever actually consider taking that even further and having like a class system in their game, or changing around other mechanics? What would they like to do? I would love to hear what the developers would have to say about that. Question number 7, and this is for basically the entire games industry, not only Call of Duty. why aren't game sales numbers transparent and more easily researchable? If I want to research a movie, I can see exactly how much it costs to make that movie and exactly how much that movie made on the opening day, as well as how much it's grossed, like, since it's been out, basically. Like, movies are easy to research this kind of stuff on. Video games, not so much. You can go to, like, websites like VG Charts, but even then, it's notoriously known for being inaccurate, and the stuff that they have there is from, like, 2 or 3 years ago if it's an older game. Like, they don't keep track of it. Why do they not have a system somewhere where you could just easily see how much they spent to make a game, how much money that game has earned from sales, and have it be updated every month or every couple of months or something along those lines, just so we have a good idea as to how much these games have actually sold? I've seen stuff in the past where Call of Duty will be like, oh yeah, we've shipped 50 million units. It's like, well, that doesn't mean you sold 50 million units. That doesn't make any sense. Like, how much did you actually sell? Why exactly is that not transparent? I don't know. I don't have answers for you guys. That's why I would love to know. Why are video game sales not transparent and easily researchable, even from the layman's standpoint? I would love to know that. Question number 8. Why did Infinity Ward drop the Ghosts IP? I've talked about this recently, but just out of curiosity more than anything, because I'm okay with them not continuing Ghosts, but I just personally would like to know, was it sales numbers? Was it audience retention? Was it keeping up with the other studios and their futuristic themes and new movement systems? Why exactly did Infinity Ward decide to drop the Ghosts IP and move on to Infinite Warfare? I would love to know about that. Question number 9. Why do Call of Duty developers stop support on older Call of Duty games year by year, allowing mods and infections to ruin the multiplayer? This has been happening forever, and it happens seemingly periodically. The first games to get hit were Call of Duty 4 and World at War, then after that it was Modern Warfare 2, and then it was Black Ops, then Modern Warfare 3, and so on and so forth. Every single year these games start getting hit with mods and infections, because it seems anyway that the developers themselves stop paying attention to the game, they stop policing them as much, and just mods and infections start to take over the older Call of Duty's multiplayer without any real backlash or repercussions from the developer. Why is that? I would love it if they were transparent about that. And question number 10. What are the plans going forward in regards to remastered Call of Duty games? Is Modern Warfare Remastered going to be a one-off remaster for the almost 10-year anniversary of COD 4? Or is this going to be part of your new business model in that every single year we're going to get a brand new game along with a remaster of an old game? It would work, and you in theory would never run out of games, assuming you continue to make at least one new game every single year. Is that the plan? Is this a one-off? What are the plans that you guys have in place in regards to remastered Call of Duty games going forward? I would love to know that. And ladies and gentlemen, that is basically going to conclude my 10 questions that I would personally want to have answered by Call of Duty developers as was Activision. I would love to know all 10 of these things. And of course, I would love to hear in the comments what questions, again, in this super hypothetical situation where you and me and everyone else, we're all sitting in a room, and across the table are a couple people from Infinity Ward, a couple of people from Sledgehammer, a couple of people from Treyarch, and a couple of people from Activision, and they all just, for whatever reason, have to answer our questions. Honestly, what questions would you ask these guys? I think it's a very interesting topic. I gave you guys 10 questions that immediately came to mind to me, and I would love to hear what you guys think down there in the comment section below. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.